taking the time to visit my channel, past, present, and future. It's your host, Gnosis Man, and this is going to be a very interesting topic. So let's get straight on into this, as you guys see in the beginning. So now, when it comes to Moses and freeing his people, the Israelites, from bondage in Egypt and leaving, passing through the Red Sea. So we've heard this story numerous times, but historians have debated if this even happened for centuries now. And I wanted to take a little, not too long dive deep, but a look into this and see if there's anything that commemorate if Moses actually left and if there's any evidence. So let's get straight right into it because this is going to be an interesting one now. So please watch the whole video in its entirely. Let's get straight into it. So now, when I came across this topic and started doing the research, I came to the conclusion that there was two dates that they used that most historians would debate and somewhat agree on, and that is the 1500 BCE or the 1300 BCE. So let's look a little bit closer to these dates and see what pharaohs were around this time and if these two pharaohs or any of them could be the pharaoh of the Exodus. So let's get straight into this article. Or fiction. Evidence of Israel's exodus from Egypt. This is a loaded question, although biblically scholars and archaeologists argue about the various aspects of Israel's exodus from Egypt. Many of them agree that the exodus occurred in some form or another. The question, did the exodus happen, then becomes, when did the exodus happen? This is another heated question, although there is much debate. Most people settle into two camps. They argue for either a 15th century BCE or 13th century BCE date for Israel's exodus from Egypt. So far, it is commemorating the two dates that we have. So most historians, we're going to go with these two dates. But let's finish up this article because it is very important, because there is a word I want you all to pay attention to. So let's keep going here. The article Exodus Evidence and Egyptologist Looks at Biblical History. From May-June 2006 issue of Biblical Archaeology Review wrestles with both of these questions. Did the Exodus happen, and when did the Exodus happen? In this article, evidence is presented that generally supports a 13th century BC Exodus during the Ramesside period, when Egypt's 19th dynasty ruled. So now, as I just said, you have to pay attention to that last word. They said that they believed that it ruled between the Ramesside period. And what period was this? Was Ramses II. But before we go there, let's look into the Bible Hub and see what date that they give also, to see if we can commemorate this, as I'll show you here. When looking here on BibleHub.com, we get a 1446 BC the Exodus begins. So that is a rough between around 15 and 13. So I can give them a little few hundred years to be a little bit off, because just to pinpoint that like to the dime would be kind of hard to do. So I'll give them this. But so they say the 15th and the 13th BCE. So let's look towards the 15th century and see who ruled around this time. Almost the first, 1550 to 1525, several church fathers identified Ahmose first, who reconquered Lower Egypt from the Hyksos, ruler of Asiatic Semitic origin, as the pharaoh of the Exodus, based on Herodotus, Manetho, Josephus, and other classical authors. Identification of the Hyksos with the Hebrews. So before I begin, we have the great and legendary Herodotus speaking about Amos, and Josephus and other classical authors. And if you know anything about these two authors, it's pretty blatant. Herodotus was the first Greek, where we have the book Histories. I've made videos about Herodotus, many videos. I'll be making one exclusively on him soon, because you need to read Herodotus Histories. And if you haven't, You need to. And Josephus, the one that we get all the somewhat credible evidence when it came to the early Christians. So I have a love and hate relationship with Josephus, and I will have a video why concerning that. So let's look at Amos and how much land he had during this time, as I'll show you here. So now, looking at the New Kingdom, also referred to as the Egyptian Empire, was the ancient Egyptian nation between the 16th century BC and the 11th century BC. This period of ancient Egyptian history covers the 18th, 19th, and 12th dynasties. Through radiocarbon dating, the establishment of the New Kingdom has been placed between 1570 and 1544 BC. So, just like what they say with the two dates, we have somewhat of this time period where they say that the Exodus happened. So, just want to keep you clear. So, let's continue here. The New Kingdom followed the second intermediate period and was succeeded by the third intermediate period and was the most prosperous time for the Egyptian people and marked the peak of the Egypt's power. So now, what's interesting about that is we all know about Moses crossing the Red Sea and then them eventually residing in the land of Canaan, where the Canaanites are. And I've made much videos concerning Canaan and how Egypt had a big influence on it. So you ever seen that? I have a video on that and I'll probably pop it up for you, but I'll continue here. So now when we look at the map and see what land Egypt had at this time, you'll be very surprised to see, because if you know Canaan, it's on most of the right side of Egypt by the Nile. So let's look at this map, which shows how much land Egypt controlled around this time. And as you see here, Egypt's territory under the New Kingdom, 15th century BC. And as you see clear as day, that their reign went all the way up the right side of the Mediterranean Sea, all the way from Byblos to Tyre, all the way up to the Hittite Empire. And if you all know about the story, once again, if you read the Bible, you know the story about Moses. He was supposed to be in the land of Canaan. But if you see this map, as I'm just showing you now, the Egyptians rule this part of the land, ladies and gentlemen. How could you have people escaping into this part and then the Egyptians own this land and conquer it? So, like, yes, they have like certain missionaries that go out and people that regulate this area because this is under their influence. If you're catching what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, because if you have the mass number of people leaving the Exodus, you should know it'll be really hard to maintain all these people and not kind of see them out somewhat in open. From what this shows, Egypt conquered all this land. So I don't think it would be far-fetched to say that they wouldn't have gotten too far. Someone must have seen them from all the people, all the Egyptians that conquered this land and actually had this land, and it's under its influence. So that's something to think about. So I do want to I have to rule out this 15th century BCE timeline because from what I see, it doesn't fit. But another timeline is something very interesting. And I know I put Herodotus really high about this, but we got to remember who wrote this too. But there was another contender that I want to speak about now. That might be a little bit close, but this is going to be very interesting with this one. And his name is Ramses II, who reigned around 13 BCE and is another contender on this list. So when it comes to Ramses II, and if you know anything about Ramses, he's one of the most decorated and well-honored pharaoh of most of all time. And if you've seen movies, The Mummy, and some other movies, you'll see that Ramses' name gets picked up and used numerous times. So let's look into this Ramses II pharaoh and see if it holds any claims to him being the pharaoh around the Exodus time. Ramses II, commonly known as Ramses the Great, was an Egyptian pharaoh, and he was the third ruler of the 19th dynasty, along with Thutmose III in the 18th dynasty. He is often regarded as the greatest, most celebrated, most powerful pharaoh of the New Kingdom, which itself was the most powerful period of the ancient Egypt. He is also widely considered one of the Egypt's most successful warrior pharaohs, conducting no fewer than 15 military campaigns, all resulting in victories, excluding the Battle of Kadesh, generally considered a stalemate. So what's interesting about Ramsey is, like I said earlier, he was refined as being one of the most well-known pharaohs ever, and that is a very big title to hold. But I want to delegate your attention on building cities, temples, and monuments. After establishing the city of P. Ramses in Nile Delta, he designated it as Egypt's new capital and used it as the main staging point of his campaigns in Syria. Ramses led several military expeditions into the Levant, where he reasserted Egyptian control over Canaan and Phoenicia. And if I just explained it earlier, I just explained that. We all know that Moses, the Israelites, all escaped to the land of Canaan. But it shows clear as day that Ramses II campaigned through all of this territory, all the way to Tyre and Byblos. And I will show you the map here of the territory. And as you see here, ladies and gentlemen, it goes all the way up from the land of Canaan all the way up to Byblos to Tyre, all the way to the Hittite Empire. I mean, and it shows this clear as day, ladies and gentlemen. If you, once again, I can't stress this enough. There is over 100,000 Israelites escaping. I may be butchering the number, but I'm damn near close. But just escaping from Egypt, going into the lands of Canaan and residing there. And you're telling me these massive people escaping, no other Egyptian societies didn't see them leaving and reported this to the pharaohs. I mean, come on, ladies and gentlemen. This is not to try anyone's intelligence. It's just when you're doing a little bit of simple research and seeing who controls certain land. That's the main thing, that no one is giving it to you. Where is the land that they're going? Canaan. Who owns this land for hundreds of years? Actually, if you want to be exact, the Egyptians, ladies and gentlemen. But I want to show you another little piece of article that I want to show you about Ramses here that will make you think even more about the credibility about the Exodus happening, as I'll show you here. And you could all look this up, ladies and gentlemen. This isn't me doing no secret convert research. You can all look this up. But let's get right into this part right here. As the Pharaoh in the Bible's book of Exodus. Though scholars generally do not recognize the biblical portrayal of the Exodus as an actual historical event. Let me repeat that one more time, ladies and gentlemen. Though scholars generally do not recognize the biblical portrayal of the Exodus as an actual historical event, various historical pharaohs have been proposed as the corresponding ruler at the time. The story takes place with Ramses II as the most popular candidate for the pharaoh of the Exodus. But then, as I just explained, ladies and gentlemen, if this was Ramses, he controlled the land of Canaan, all the way up to Tyre and Byblos. And yes, you could be like, well, remember they were wandering in the desert. I understand that, but a vast number of them, someone would have seen them. The Phoenicians are there. The Canaanites are all living up on this coast, ladies and gentlemen. If you know anything about the Phoenicians, the seafaring people, they are all up this coast, ladies and gentlemen. There is no way you can tell me nobody under the Egyptian rule did not see a mass evacuation of people just leaving. So now, after showing you all this evidence and the two dates that they say that scholars want to debate and say that happened around these times, we clearly see that Egypt controlled this land, that which the Israelites and Moses escaped. But it doesn't end there, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, okay, I showed you some articles here and there and some pharaohs that land there. Okay, well, maybe it could be true, but I do want to show you one more example. And it's this book that I have because you know I love to give you guys all of the information so you can do your own research. I'm not like all these other YouTubers that want to spout stuff. Nah, I give you guys the example so you all can do your own research. So we're going to be doing this book, Signs and Symbols by Albert Churchward. I'm going to be leaving a link, but I just want to show you I got the book. And we're going to read into it right now. So another example. So let's get straight right into this. Page 238. This is where Albert Churchward is talking about the Egyptians and the Jews. Israelites are not Jews, although some Jews may be Israelites. Their whole history, laws, and traditions prove that they borrowed very largely indeed from the Egyptians, and the laws of Moses, which they considered and believed their own specific laws, were the old laws of Egypt given to them by Moses, laws which had been in existence thousands of years before Moses lived, as proved by the Stela of Hamaria. And I'm showing you that stela right now so you can get a gist of it, see what it looks like. But I want to continue here on page 239. Volney states that in vain did Moses prescribe the worship of the symbols which prevailed in Lower Egypt and Phoenicia. Before it began, he is pretty much saying that these signs and symbols already were in existence and already was in transition before the time of Moses. So let's continue here. And in vain did he wish to blot from his religion everything which had relations to the stars. In other words, he was a priest of the solar eschatology of the Egyptians and knew that this was brought on from the stellars. Ooh, this is all astrology, ladies and gentlemen, and I've made a video talking about Lucifer, which I'll be showing you here so you can watch the video, and how the word Lucifer, if you do etymology, goes all the way back to the shining one, the morning star, aka Venus. So please check out that video because you'll be blown out to know that yes, Christian and Hebrew ideology, all of it is based way back in the day. It was based on stellar and solar worship. But let's continue here. This can be accurately proved by studying the remains of the past, which are still to be found in great abundance in these countries at the present time. The Jewish religion is founded on the mysteries of the double horizon of Ra Hamash. They still celebrate the mystery annually as the mystery, and their two times remain equinical and has never been changed to the winter solstice and Easter equinox. Wow, ladies and gentlemen. Again, like I said, signs and symbols. And that was just a little excerpt from this. Not one group saw them. So, anywho, I just wanted to present this to you because this was a topic that I feel like most people, when they talk about, they don't show this evidence. And I wanted to show this evidence because I feel like it's a missing piece to this connection. And if you're wondering yourself, well, then if it happened, why was it written down? That will be for you to ponder and then for another topic on another video. But what did you think? How do you all feel about the story of the Exodus not being actual, historically accurate, due to the fact that Egyptians ruled the land of Canaan during the two dates that the scholars give, not what Gnosis gives you. I didn't give these dates to you. These are the dates that the scholars give to you, give to us, and then we have to do the research to see if it can commemorate it, and then it doesn't, ladies and gentlemen. But please, let's get into the comment section. What do you guys think? Did you guys hear about the land? Did you guys know that Egypt ruled these lands around these times? Did you know that these are the two dates that most scholars say that it must have happened? And then another article saying that most scholars don't think that this historically ever happened. But let's talk about it in the comment section. I will be there. I'm always there. I'm always getting into debates and conversations with you guys. Keeping it good, of course. You know what I mean? We don't want to see nothing nasty, but I love the debate and I love the conversation. So let's keep it going. But more videos are on the way. But I'll see you all on the next video. Cheers, y'all. Do your research. Don't let them lie to you. Peace out.